Uche is a leading executive coach. He's the author of the book Count the Cost: The Five Unspoken Rules of Sustainable Success. He started his career as an investment banker, so you know he's got the money, before transitioning into talent development. Uche, thank you for joining me this morning. How are you today?
I'm very well, Adam. Thank you very much for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
Great, thank you for being here. So, first of all, congratulations on the release of your book titled Count the Cost: The Five Unspoken Rules of Sustainable Success. Now,
Yes.
I guess a large part of what inspired and started this journey of writing the book was your personal experience with burnout. So, for everyone who's listening now, can you just explain what is burnout and what were the signs for you that you were heading towards it?
Thank you very much. I think burnout, if I was to put it in one sentence, is getting to a point where you lose the will to do anything. Um,
Right.
a lot of people feel as though they are burnt out, and still have that energy, to at least a little bit to go to work. I couldn't get out of bed.
Okay.
And the interesting thing is you never know when it's going to come.
Yeah.
So I went to bed on Sunday night like any normal day, and then Monday morning I woke up, and I couldn't get out. They thought it was just a
Wow.
bit of a flu or feeling a bit sick, but my wife went to work and came back and met me in bed. Um,
Okay.
and at the height of it, it was I was depressed, and also I I couldn't even do little things like brush my teeth. And
Wow.
so I was already struggling. I was always tired. I was always kind of feeling stretched and stressed. But when I got to actual tipping point of burnout, I couldn't do anything.
And so you said that your wife came home and found you in bed. Um, do you think there'd have been a different outcome had you been by yourself? Like, had you been a single guy or not had somebody who was able to observe you? Would it have been different, do you think? Or were you able to sort of work out for yourself quite quickly that it was more than just an illness?
The truth is, I was very lucky to have my wife with me, right?
Mm,
Because throughout that week, I'm an optimist. I'm a go-getter. I'm a drive hard person. And so we did think that it was just a sense of like you've been working very hard. Maybe you're just fatigued. But my wife saw me progressing, deteriorating, I should say, throughout
yeah,
that week, and was able to raise the alarm bells.
right,
To give you an example, towards the end of that week, one day she kind of woke me up vigorously. And I
right.
woke up, saw horror, the look of horror on her face. And she said, I kept on, between frantic gasps, I kept on shouting, please don't let me go crazy. Right.
Right.
And so she said it was a nightmare, but I genuinely felt like I was going to like lose my mind at
Yeah, yeah,
some
yeah.
point. So it's her being there, for example, was critical to sort of saying, okay, something is really wrong. We need to get some help.
So had had you felt the build up to this? Like, had you felt the pressure building? Had you felt it getting hot? Yeah. And it was
100%.
literally, and it was a culmination of multiple days, weeks, months of that happening, and finally it was like your brain said, "This is too much."
This is exactly it, Adam. The fact is, many people are on that road. The worst part is you just don't know where your tipping point is.
Right.
So at that point in time, I mean, I already knew I had a very unhealthy lifestyle, right? I was pushing myself too hard. I had a lot to prove. I'd already had bad experiences of losing everything, becoming broke, going from being a banker to squatting in friends' houses. My clothes were in the boot of my car. So
Right.
there were a lot of negative and wrong motivations.
Yeah.
And at the point in time when I burnt out, I knew that, look, you need to stop, you need to slow down. Your body is telling that you're breaking down. But I just
Hmm.
kept on that lie of just a little bit more, a little bit longer, and I will achieve this particular goal and then I can rest.
Yeah.
And if I achieved it before I burnt out, that would have been cool. But I didn't know where my tipping point is. So we are all on this elastic band.
Yeah.
You can really stretch it, Adam. You
Yeah.
can stretch a lot, but at some point it's gonna break, but you just don't know when it's gonna break.
Yeah. 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 Wow.
So yeah.
That kind of feeds into the whole like the final bit of hay that broke the camel's back. You're like, there's so many bales of hay on his back, and one day, just a final straw just hits. It's like
This
too
is
much.
this is and you kind of say too much. So there are clear warning signs that a
Yeah.
lot of us ignore,
Hmm.
to our own detriment, quite frankly.
So I know your wife has played a massive part in you kind of getting understanding what was going on and then be able to recover. But what part did your faith play in it as well? Like from the experience of being burnt out and almost kind of going to a place of starting from scratch again. How were you able to turn that around? And what role did your faith play in that?
I mean, my faith was a huge part.
Mm-hmm.
The truth of the matter is, you know, even people see someone that is not Christian, there are different things you can do to kind of step back. I think that I recovered as quickly as I did
Mm-hmm.
because of my faith.
Right.
And so, at the peak of it, I was depressed. Like I said, within sort of 2, 3 months, I was getting back to. It probably took a whole year to get back to sort of where I needed to be, but
Yeah.
within 2 to 3 months, I got back to a good place.
Right.
I would say that I was no longer, as it were, depressed.
Yeah.
And almost like as though my life was not worth living.
Yeah.
And so my faith, I would say the biggest element was the more, first of all, because I had to be able to do nothing, then the only thing I could probably do was pray and listen to worship music.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So I could do that.
Yeah.
And I think a key element there was just Adam acceptance,
Mm-hmm.
beginning to realize that even in this state of where I felt like nothing, I'm accepted. You
Mm-hmm.
know, Jesus has, he had died for me. I'd given my life to him, and now that I feel like I'm the biggest loser, failure, and disappointment to everybody, including myself,
Yeah.
Jesus has open arms, and it's kind of like, I love you. And
Right.
it sounds like a simple thing, but those realizations began to help me feel like, you know what, I can go again. I would say another key element for me, if you look in the Bible, for example, in Mark chapter 6, I think verse 31, it talks about after the disciples had gone out and done some stuff, Jesus Christ says to them, come with me and rest.
Yeah.
And that understanding of actually he wants you to rest.
Yeah.
This unsustainable, frantic go, that is not him. That is something
Yeah.
that you have done due to your own insecurities, due to your own
100%.
issues. So those realizations began to help me sort of come back. I had to change, be transformed by the renewing of your mind. We can go into that in more detail if you want, but there are a lot of mind shifts I needed to make,
Mm-hmm.
and my faith was critical in that.
Wow. Man, I read scriptures the other day. I can't remember. I think it was in Luke somewhere. It talks about
Mm.
Jesus, and it says, it's Luke. It said Jesus often withdrew to the wilderness for prayer.
This is it.
Like, yeah,
The,
you go, you
the,
go.
this is exactly it. So, a parallel scripture to that is Mark 1:35. It says,
Yeah,
in a great while before Jesus Christ would go by
mm,
himself to pray. I mean,
yeah,
Adam, I don't know if you um, if you realize this, but as far as I'm concerned, from the beginning of time to when it ends, Jesus is the most productive person I can think about.
yeah,
Right? I
yeah,
mean,
yeah.
there's nobody more productive, more successful
No,
than Jesus, right?
no,
It
definitely
just,
not.
just, just even pound for pound, even if you don't believe in the Christian faith, when you
Mm,
read what he's done, and
mm-hmm.
and he had time to
Yeah,
pray, he had time to rest. He was never rushed in the
never.
Bible. There's never a time when he was like, "Oh my God, let's go quickly. I'm going to be late for this,"
Yeah,
because he was doing each day and in each season only what was required of him to do.
yeah,
And that is the difference between many of us and him. Many of us are doing not only what we should be doing in this season, but 20 other things we should be doing in other seasons.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
And we pile it all
All in
in.
one time.
You
Yeah,
know what I mean? And so that's an example. So prayer, rest, relax. If Jesus had time for all those three things, we have time for it.
yeah. Yeah, you're right. If you can make time for it frequently, it says Jesus
This
often went to the
often,
wilderness to pray.
exactly,
So if you could do it, so
exactly.
can we. I want to talk to you a bit about quitting. I know it's kind of
Mm,
a dirty word in the world today, but
mm,
I mean, it seems like through your journey, you've had to unlearn a lot of things, and I guess you had to unlearn it, and then also create some new journeys in your own life and go against the grain of what the world's saying. So, like I said to you offline, we're talking about the hustle hard, go harder, go harder, go home. Stay, no, sleep is for the weak, all those kind of sentiments that get passed around. Um, but give me an example. I guess, for example, like why do you think that quitting sometimes is the wisest thing that you can do?
I think because you have to be realistic with yourself. You
Mm,
are you are limited. as a human being in the way you are made. And so I'll give you two practical examples.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, I say quitting versus giving up. Giving up for me is where you know you are going in the right direction, you're doing
Yeah.
the right things, and you lose the will to continue and you give up.
Yeah.
That's giving up. Quitting is realizing I need to make adjustments. So, for example, I started my career in investment banking. I was doing quite well, but when I began to think around purpose, I realized that this is not what I'm not passionate about this. You
Yeah.
know, in the financial crisis, when there was a lot of madness going on, I I found myself more concerned with the well-being of my team than whether or not we close the deal. So
Right.
it just became clear to me that look, this is not what you were created for. So
Yeah.
I quit banking to pursue purpose, and that's
Right.
okay,
Mm-hmm.
right? I give you another example. I was on the board of an organization, and really and truly between you and you know, it was a bit of a knee jerk decision. I joined last year,
Okay.
and I hadn't sat down. Title of my book, to count the cost.
Mm-hmm.
Given everything else that I'm doing, do I have the time, resources to do this board role effectively? And by the time I got to this year, just about 2 weeks ago, I resigned. Not because
Oh.
it's not a good role, but I looked at the most important things I need to be doing now. And I said, I can't take this on. And I was very apologetic because, you know, it's a 3 year assignment. But I knew that you bite the bullet now, you know. And so it's one of those things you quit when, if you know you're going in the wrong direction, let's say you're meant to be going north on the M1, and you find yourself going south on the M1, then
Mm-hmm.
you quit. You turn around.
Yeah. Yeah.
You
Yeah.
don't
Yeah.
go further and further in the wrong direction because you're macho. That's not wisdom. That's not being very wise.
So I guess a big part of that is being able to define the difference between giving up on something that's you're supposed to be doing and quitting something that just isn't working, and be able to differentiate between the
This
two.
exactly. So I give you an
Mm.
example on my marriage, right? Uh, I'm married to my wonderful wife. We met in university, my university sweetheart. But we've had tough times in my marriage, right? We've had experiences in my marriage that I know for some other people have caused them to divorce. In fact, I know of two or three couples dealing with the same challenge as us, waiting for
Mm.
so long to have children, who that was the reason for the breakup of their marriage.
Right.
And it's unfortunate, but in my mind, this is it for the rest of my life with the woman that I love. So there's no giving
Mm-hmm.
up on this. You know what I mean? There's no quitting. I'm not quitting this one. I'm going to stay with it until the end. That's what I mean by, as you say, the difference between some things you can quit, and the other things you give up. I give you the best way to think about this. If you think about a
Mm-hmm.
rocket that is going higher and higher, they say that for each next level to keep on going higher, a rocket has to shed the weight it no longer needs.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And that is what quitting is. Quitting is shedding the things you no longer need so you can keep on going higher in your life and in God. And
Yeah.
sometimes you might need to even quit some relationships because you no longer need them for where God is taking you.
Yeah. That's a great example. I think we have turned that word quitting into a dirty word,
Mm,
because the whole culture is, especially with I guess millennials and stuff. It's like literally never give up, keep going, keep going. It's like there's some things you should give up on because it's just not working.
absolutely.
Why keep doing something that isn't working?
Exactly.
But you're right. It
Exactly.
does take clarity of mind and also an understanding of like you having a clear idea of where you're going to know what is working and what isn't working in your life. Because when you don't have that, you can easily just keep doing something and hope it works. But because you've got no plan,
Exactly.
yeah,
Exactly. And that's where, you know, talking about the rules in the book, review is a key element in that. And for me,
mm,
I use my community a lot. And so
yeah,
before I make the different levels of things in creating, right? Before I make
hmm,
some big decisions, I will review them with my best friend, my brother, my sister, my, you know, close people to me, my wife,
hmm,
and you know, even mentors, just
yeah,
because to give a bit of a sense check, am I really going down the right path here? Or is it just me
yeah,
being tired? Because
yeah,
sometimes you say, well, I'm going to quit this, but you're just tired. You need a good night's sleep or a good week off, and you begin to look at things differently. Don't make big or permanent decisions when you're tired. You know,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
that's very key in life.
I hear you. And my dad says, don't make permanent decisions based on temporary feelings or temporary circumstances. And it's like really important
Exactly.
because when you're super happy or super tired or super upset, you'll decide things that can change your whole life for the good or for the bad. And it's like,
Abs-
you, when you're super
Absolutely.
happy and you promise something to somebody, oh my God, I've had such a great day. I promise I'll do this. And then you go home, it's like, oh my gosh, what have I done?
What have I
Um,
done?
yeah, what have
Exactly.
I done? I want to talk to you a bit about dreams now because I know a lot of us have dreams and it's hard for us sometimes to to know how to approach them
Mm,
sustainably. So in your book, you talk about the 5 rules of sustainable success. How do you
mm.
approach dreams sustainably? And what does that look like? You know, I've got a big dream, but how can I actually manage it so it's sustainable and I can make it happen?
No, it's a great question. I think a number of things. I mean, the rules in itself are recognize the difference between quitting and giving up. Um, Realize when you are kind of going too fast or you're burning out, rest, review, and relaunch. Those are the rules in themselves. And I think they kind of speak for themselves, but the key element of that is rest. So, one of the things that I did since I burnt out, because Adam, I'm always going to work hard, I'm always going to go hard. I've
Mm-hmm.
kind of like an automatic car automated my rest. I have a
Yeah.
weekly Sabbath. First week in April of every year, doesn't matter what is going on, I take a week off. That was when I
Mm-hmm.
burnt out in April 2017. I take a
Right.
long summer break. My anniversary is in June. I take a long weekend. So there are things that I just put in the week, in the month, in the year that make
Mm-hmm.
sure I get the rest I need. The second thing is one of the reasons that there are triggers that we need to be mindful of. There's the comparison trigger. I read a
Yeah.
quote yesterday on Instagram. It said, "In the race of fulfilling your purpose, you're not permitted to overtake." And the point being, run your own race. If you
Mm-hmm.
if you feel like you're overtaking somebody else, then you're comparing, and you're going to be completely dissatisfied in life because my mother taught me the 5 finger rule, which is she put her hand in front of me one day when I was complaining and she said, "Look at your 5 fingers. There's always going to be somebody, your pair, ahead of you. There's always going to be somebody where you are, and there will be somebody behind you. It's never going to change. So if
Mm-hmm.
you're always trying to catch up with somebody ahead of you, you don't know their circumstances, their advantages, you're going to eventually burn out.
Yeah.
Um, and then the other thing that I add is reviewing. Similar to when I said I quit this board role, I
Mm-hmm.
review regularly. And I sort of, am I still going in the right direction? Am I going at the right pace? Do I need to kind of adapt, change anything? If you one good way of thinking about it is a manual gear car, Adam. You have gear one all the way to five.
Mm-hmm.
Imagine somebody trying to drive from here to any destination only on gear five. You're going to crash. There's no
Yeah.
there's,
Yeah.
there's
Yeah.
just no way you can do that. So
Yeah.
you're going to have to use all the gears of your car. And so
Yeah.
when I review, am I using gear five, four, three, two, one as regularly as I should? If I'm not, something needs to change. And a key
Mm-hmm.
element of also pursuing things sustainably is killing, if I call it, the demon of people pleasing.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Even more so in the church, right? Because nobody is, forcing you to do anything. But I see a lot of people burn out, burn the candle on both ends, working in the week and then serving unsustainably in church, all in the bid to people please. And those
Mm-hmm.
things don't help. So in the book, I cover a lot of things around what are your triggers? What are the warning signs? How do you do a detailed review of your life so that you know the changes you need to make? And how do you relaunch so that you're going, I talk about raw, you're going at the right pace to get to where you need to get to on time, having the right attitude and in the right way. And all those
Mm-hmm.
kind of things are covered in the book. Finally, I will say stop the unrealistic deadlines. We give ourselves deadlines that God didn't give us. We say it
Mm-hmm.
needs to happen by 2023. Who said? God didn't tell
Yeah.
you that.
Yeah.
So those are some of the things to think about.
I love that. I definitely think the unrealistic deadlines are you do that and you give yourself no chance, and it then makes it
Yeah,
even harder to achieve. But also, I love what you
yeah.
said about the kind of comparison thing because the comparison trap is they say that comparison is a thief of joy, but also
Absolutely.
comparison is a thief of opportunity because you're so busy comparing yourself that you miss out on things that are there for you. And I love that. And I
This is
think
it.
hearing what you're saying now, people need to get this book and find out these, get into
The
the deep
detail.
levels and detail, yeah, of the 5 unspoken rules of sustainable success. So I know you do lots of coaching as well,
Mm,
especially around behavioral change. And I think that's one of the key things that anyone who wants success in their life needs to adapt is like, what do I need to change about myself or my behavior, what I'm doing to manifest my success sustainably? And I know you do this for
absolutely.
companies, large organizations and churches and stuff. Um, how can the individual person listen to this right now, or the pastor who's got a church with a team, or even an entrepreneur who's got a business with staff members, how can they help their teams to manage the stress and kind of build a culture of behavioral change so that things are sustainable with success in the organizations?
I think if I'm speaking to the leaders, I
Mm-hmm.
think first and foremost is looking within, and asking yourself what what are the roots behind the behavior.
Mm-hmm.
Adam, the reason I burnt out is simple, a fear of failure. I saw my dad um, be very successful at an early age and
Mm-hmm.
then lose it all. He eventually began to kind of bounce back, but the fact is, it put in me such a fear of failure that I just didn't want to ever be there.
Yeah.
And that behavior drove everything. It drove me to go at an unrealistic pace. It drove me to be stressed and tired. And when you're stressed and tired, then you are angry and short with everybody around you. It ruins
Yeah.
relationships. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? So if
Mm-hmm.
there's a lot to cover, but if I was to say one thing, it would be to pause and go back to the root. Let me give you this very clear example, Adam. I was
Mm-hmm.
coaching a leader, and this wasn't, I don't coach any around resilience, but in this case, the guy was had burnt out very badly, and he was on the verge again, and he was asking me, "I've seen how bad it is to burn out. Why am I perpetuating this cycle again?"
Mm-hmm.
And we began to explore questions, and he made a statement randomly. This guy is not Christian. This guy is actually Hindu, and he made a
Okay.
statement. He says, at the end of the day, Uche, I need to maximize my talents. And I'm thinking, that's the Bible of the talents, mate. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
he
Yeah.
goes, oh, I went to a Catholic school, and every day they always said, maximize your talents. You are more privileged than other people. Don't waste your parents' money. It didn't matter
Yeah.
how well you did. If the story was maximize your talent, you could get an A
Yeah.
in maths, a B in English. They would say, well, you got A in maths, but B in English, maximize your talent.
Yeah.
And that route was what was driving him because I always have to maximize my talent. I then
Mm-hmm.
explained to him, did you realize that the person that had 5 talents gained 5 more, and the person that had two just gained 2 more? So whatever you are giving, just maximize that. And for
Yeah.
him, he was like, Uche, for the last 30 years, I've been trying to make two 10 as opposed to
Yeah.
two 4.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he's no longer burning out. But without getting to the root of that reason for behaving that way,
Mm-hmm.
nothing was going to change. And I think as a leader, you can look at that for yourself, but you can also ask questions to the people that you lead, to help them realize this. And let's not be, the Bible says, these people honor me with their lips, but their hearts are far away from me. Let's not play lip service to wanting to lead people right. So we say, you know, be sustainable and live a healthy lifestyle. Then we give our teams unrealistic deadlines.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. 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 Yeah.
And we say, but you have to be healthy in your lifestyle. So let's be honest with, if we really want to achieve a balance, then let's be practical in how we're going to go about doing that.
That's so good. That's so good. You're giving us so many like just I call them major keys. You just give us
Yeah,
so many major keys. But I think people are going to find so much more from your book, and I think everyone needs to get this book and read it. So if you can just tell
absolutely.
everyone, like, where can they find your book? Where can they find you online? Access your coaching services. Just share all your information.
Thank you very much, Adam. So the book is on Amazon. If you just put in "Count the Cost" by Uche Ezichi, you'll find it on there. My website is simply my name, so it's www.ucheuche and then Ezichi, Ezichi.com, and there you can find Me on LinkedIn is the same thing. All my Instagram and social media handles are simply at Uche Ezichi. And an email will simply be admin at ucheezichi.com. And you can contact me that way as well. I'd love to hear from your listeners.
Yeah, I mean, I think what I'm going to do, I'm going to read the book myself, and I'm going to talk about it another week and get some people's texts
Awesome.
in, and maybe we'll give some copies away or something. That sounds like
Well,
a good
that
idea.
that would be great, actually.
Yeah. I want to say really great thanks for you joining me this morning. I know Sundays are a busy day for us all. So
Yes,
thank you for taking time out to be with me, and I'll definitely catch up with you again soon.
definitely, Adam. I look forward to it.
Thanks a lot. Cheers.
Thank you.